Sitting back there trying to justify this.
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Does the background look okay? I had to put something up to try to block the light. Okay, great.
And I'm going to try to call in.
Okay.
Can you hear me any better this time? No?
No.
Okay, let me try to call in. Oh, okay. Hang on. Okay, how's that?
That's good. I can hear you.
Okay.
Very good.
And then wondering how I can mute my phone, so I just turn it on whenever it's time for me to talk.
Oh, so you don't hear the background stuff, you mean? Or
Well, Jason's in the hall right now.
no? Well, he's going to have to be quiet.
Okay, let me check.
Five will do all of them.
I wanted y'all to just like join my party. Can you still hear me now? Oh. Okay.
I did not put the Cobra thing on my email, and I was wanting to do that. So, I'm gonna like follow up with that and just say.
We can just hold on to it because once he's done, then we'll say, okay, when you have to, because he doesn't need it till October. So
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, because I thought, no,
okay.
he gets
I'll hold on to
overwhelmed
it.
very easily.
I didn't include Anthony on
Hey,
that.
Kelly.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Sorry, I just didn't, because I think we're broadcasting live, so if you want to mute,
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, we're good.
So, okay, I didn't include Anthony on that. The FCC just gets censored or opportunity attached to the room.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
That works. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, you guys can hear me okay?
Yes.
There we go. Is that better?
Can hear you.
still low though.
How about if I just talk a little louder? Yeah, there we go. Okay. I'll leave my late night radio voice behind.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Tony, how you doing? You looking good today? Hi, Kelly.
Oh, thank you. I am doing well.
Ashley. Mr. Dave P., how are you?
Good.
Hey, James, can you tell me how to mute my background or blur my background?
If you will refresh your screen and jump back in when you're coming in, you'll blur on as you come in.
Yeah, I was able to, I found those options as well. Correct.
Yeah, apparently I didn't have something that it needed to blur my background. Did you understand what that said? About blurring the background? If it wasn't supported, okay. I guess I'm gonna have to trade this 1985 Macintosh in some point.
Time to do it, huh?
I'm telling my age now, all right.
All right, guys, we are live and ready to get started. I wanted to welcome everyone to Trinity Captive's broadcast this morning with Illumo Wellness and Illumo Body Scan. We are going to be talking a little bit today about body scans inside of our benefit plans. I wanted to take a quick moment here to introduce Tony Searles, the Senior VP of Employee Benefits at Trinity Captive. Tony, do you want to take a second and tell us a little bit about why we're here today?
I absolutely do. And I'm very excited that you guys are attending. We have been looking forward to this for several weeks now. And in fact, several weeks probably prior to the beginning stages of planning this, several of us were able to participate in this scan. So I will be talking to you a little bit about that towards the end of the call. But I wanted to introduce this team of folks and tell you why we're here. Part of Trinity Captive's mission, as all of you probably have either heard in the past or heard recently, is that we are always looking for cost containment strategies that offer quality healthcare for our employee base, right? And I think one of the things that we constantly strive for is to perform in a proactive approach to healthcare versus a reactive approach to healthcare. And that's not to be underrated. I think that there's lots of times in our industry when we're taught that the best reaction that we can have is after we've seen something become bigger than it ever needs to be. And then we're constantly searching for ways to fix that problem and sustain life and health. And it's just not the best approach to healthcare. So I am very excited, along with Kelly Keene, one of our account executives, and our entire Trinity Captive team, to be here among this group of people. We are looking forward to them presenting a program that we think you will find interesting, fascinating, and noteworthy when it comes to ways that we can potentially add some really great cost containment strategies to our program. So I'll turn this back over to Toby and let it begin.
Excellent. Well, right here, we wanted to take a quick minute and give everybody the opportunity to hear from some of our patients directly.
I guess I was the type of individual that just didn't think much about life or death or taking care of myself.
I felt fine. I did not feel anything.
I was young, I was healthy, I didn't have any major anything.
I have no idea because I don't know how sick I would have been.
Who knows how much time I actually had left.
Maybe I would have stayed in a state of denial and never gotten it checked out, and they find out when it's too late.
The earlier the better.
I would not have been alive probably in a couple months, he said, but I had no idea.
They caught it early, and we've been able to keep that under control.
You can catch things early, and you can take care of them before they become something that can't be taken care of.
It probably saved me a lot of problems, if not my life.
You got to set the hesitation aside, because the things you can't see and you're not even feeling that can be found and can change your life profoundly, you want to know that as soon as you possibly could.
Very easy to correct if you find it in time. Sometimes we procrastinate and it's too late.
You're concerned about your health or your kids. Raising them, then you have to take care of yourself.
That was a few of our patients. And right now I wanted to turn it over to Steve Marler, who is the founder of Illumo and has been working in this space of working directly with patients to find disease early for over 15 years. Steve, would you tell us a little bit about Illumo and your mission for early detection?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure working with Tony and Kelly on this, and the team's done a great job putting it together. I really appreciate all the work. I'm going to talk about today a little bit quickly about the technology itself and the differences between a CT and an MRI body scan. And then I want to talk about the benefits. And I think you heard there in those videos, in those clips, that finding it early is the key. Early detection saves lives. If you find it early, you can get help early. And that's really the key to this whole process. If you have chronic illness in your employee universe and it's not found early enough, then you have to deal with late stage treatments, and it's infinitely more expensive. And of course, the outcomes are usually always worse. So first of all, the technology. You've heard a lot now about MRI body scans. They've been around for some time, but the CT and the MRI are basically different technologies. They were designed to, in their early stages, to do diagnostic scans. The CT was designed to do large area quick scans. MRI, if you think about it, was a focus scan on one particular area of the body, usually trying to detect an injury. So the main difference is the number one killer of all diseases, heart disease. The number one cancer of all diseases is lung cancer. In an MRI body scan, you can't see the vessels around the heart, and you also can't see the lung beds. So it's very difficult to detect those two diseases with an MRI. As a matter of fact, if you look at the guys and we do MRI body scans, we have that capability. Matter of fact, we just purchased the latest generation. But the difference in the scan, we very much prefer CT body scan. The CT itself takes about 5 minutes, and that's everything from the time you get on the table till you get off. You go in dressed as you are. There's no needles. There's no dyes. In an MRI, it's about an hour in the tube, and it's very noisy. It's very uncomfortable, and you have to change clothes to do it. So the differences in just the patient experience and the quality of scan are very, very much different. But as far as the employee, I like to use Oklahoma County as our example. We started with them 9 years ago now. They offer it to their employee base as a benefit in their healthcare program. And initially, when we started this, we scanned the first several dozen people, had a lot of findings, and we realized those were people that knew they had issues and were coming in. The key is we were able to get on top of those chronic illnesses. In the insurance business, obviously you've heard of the 80-20 rule. Well, actually about 5% of your existing chronic illness is about 80% of your healthcare costs. So if you can get in front of that early, then you can get help early, and it saves lots, not only money, but time for your employees. We've seen Oklahoma County go, and they've had a negative cost increase over the past several years just because they continue to stay in front of the chronic illness, and they're very proactive in getting health care to their patients. One of the things, when I interview patients or employees, potential employees here, besides the salary, the number one thing they ask about is benefits. And we talk about the imaging that we do and how it's included in our process. And I think that is key to hiring some of the quality people that we have on our staff. And I think it would be key to any employer if he gets in front of these illnesses early. So, see, back to the technology, people ask me a lot of times about radiation. The CTs today, the ones that we have that in our system, are very low dose radiation. It's based on a measurement called millisieverts. The average is about 2.4 millisieverts. And a quick example, I carry around a little radiation detector. It's actually in my bag, just because I've heard so much about it in the past dozen years. And I carry it on the airplane. I recently flew to the West Coast from Oklahoma City, and In that flight, I had over 6 millisievers of radiation, which is 3 times what you actually get in one CT body scan. So it's very minimal. We've scanned people. I've done multiple for over 15 years. We don't see it as an issue. Obviously, MRI doesn't have radiation. It creates the image with a magnetic field, which has other issues as well. But it's very safe. It's very fast. And it's something that should be done every year because the best scan is the next scan. But team, go ahead. Thank you very much for letting me come on here today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve. And now we want to turn it over to Kelly Keene, who is an account executive at Trinity Captive, and she actually has rolled out programs like these in groups before. Kelly, could you tell us a little bit about how you've implemented these plans and what you've seen in best practices?
Oh, Kelly, we can't hear you.
Oh, no, hang on. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
We can now. Yeah, we can now. You're good.
So I wanted to first roll it out for people that are 35 or older, because, you know, at that point you're starting to mature, realize you're not invincible, and you might need to take things seriously. Then budget came into play. So I was like, okay, I'll compromise. We'll start at 40. So on their birthday month, when they turned 40, they got the invitation to go over. They didn't have to do it, but they could go do it. And I'm just going to tell you 3 that we did have done. One guy, physically fit, played golf, you'd never think that this guy had anything wrong with him. So he went for his physical. His doctor happens to be a personal friend. And he said, you know what, let's go ahead and do one of those scans too. And they did, and he did have blockage happening. And so he was put on a medication so that it could help with that. But you would have never thought anything was going on with this guy. So that was a good fix. Then we had another one. He was adopted, so he didn't really know his family history. Then he did find his family history, and he had a dad that passed away from heart disease, a sister that died of heart disease, and 2 other ones that had heart disease were still alive. So he'd been on heart medication. He'd been on high cholesterol medication for years. But whenever he went and had the scan and he looked at the scan and he saw it, not just heard the doctor say, you need to do this, but he saw it. That was the slap across the head I needed him to have, because he changed everything in his world after that. He was like, he said, I had a widow maker, Kelly. I don't want to be a widow maker. So he totally turned around. So that was great. And then there was one that he was a young dad, and well, he was past 35, but he had a young kid, and he went because he wanted to make sure everything was going good. And I asked him, how was your experience? And everything was well. And he said, no problems, but it did give me peace of mind to know that everything's good. So you could have surprise, finally got somebody to realize you need to take this seriously. And the other one was just, I'm glad everything's going as I had planned. So that's my experience with it. I think it's great. I think everybody should do it.
Excellent. And Kelly, in that implementation, you mentioned everybody got a invitation on their birthday. Was that covered under the group?
Yes. Well, we did it outside the plan. So I had it where it would just bill us directly. And so, so I could spread that cost out throughout the year during their birthday month. And then they didn't have to do it during the birthday month. They just couldn't do it before that. I would send a list over, say these people could get their scan now and just bill me for it. And that's how we did it.
Kelly, how many covered lives did your previous company have?
About 250.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But just the cost of having that, I mean, just a physical in general, and they can still get their physical too. It runs about $400. So you're not too far off of knowing, okay, you can't catch these things, but here we go. On a previous employer I was at, we had a guy that had an executive physical, went through everything, has physical. 2 weeks later, he died of a heart attack while he was driving down the road. So had he had a scan during that time, he would have already been put in the hospital, and we would never had that happen 2 weeks later, probably. So that's another reason I'm like, let's just see if there's a ticking time bomb. If there's not, great. If there is, we can fix it. And we have, you know, the patient navigation, so we can fix it for free. Let's just find out what it is.
Kelly, I love that. And I love those stories. As we kind of roll to our next person here, to Ashley Williams. Ashley, maybe, and Ashley is the clinical leader here for Illumo. Just to put you on the spot here, I know this is not part of what you initially planned to talk about, but as you kind of tell us a little bit about the body scan itself and what can be seen, could you also tell us the value of the CT in evaluating the heart versus maybe some of the other options that are there?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I'm going to apologize in advance. There is someone mowing right outside my window at all times here.
We can't hear it.
Good. So again, I'm Ashley Williams. I am clinical director here. So the CT, a lot of people don't really realize what a CT body scan is. So I wanted to kind of touch base on that. What is a body scan? What can we detect? And then I'll touch base on Toby's question of heart disease and why it's so important when it comes to the CT scan. So what we scan, what we can find. So full body CT, these are just the few things: cancer, heart disease, aneurysms, and many more. So when you look at this, heart disease is the #1 killer right now across the United States and globally as well. But when you look at that, what we do is a coronary calcium score. That's one piece of this heart scan. This CT scan. So we do a coronary calcium score. We look at the major vessels of your heart, and we can tell you if you have early signs of calcium buildup in there. So that's really important. Second thing is cancer. So when we look at this, the CT modality versus an MRI. An MRI cannot look at your heart. So that's really big to keep in mind. So we're not able to detect the calcium buildup in there. The second thing is lung assessments. The CT is the gold standard for assessing the lungs, and lung cancer is your #1 cancer that is taking lives right now. So this is really an important piece of the CT body scan to look at those two major chronic diseases that are killing folks. So like I said, MRI versus CT. MRI cannot see the heart. They cannot see the lung fields accurately. So our CT, those are the two primary things we look at. This screen right here tells us everything else we can look at in that body scan. So when you come on site to get scanned, you will actually physically get in the scanner. It's going to scan from the bottom of your neck to right at the top of your thighs. So we're looking at all of your internal organs there. Like we said, the heart, the lungs, the bone structure, your spine, your pancreas, your spleen, all of your internal organs we're looking at. So this is a snapshot right here of the most simplistic way that we could describe what we see in that body scan. And like Steve mentioned, as far as scanning technology, we do a really good job at getting the latest and greatest technology because that makes a huge difference. When you're looking at what machine you want to be scanned on, the technology can go from a really low slice count, as low as 8 slices. For our technology, we have anywhere from 128 to 640 slices. So that's really important to understand the level of detail that we're looking inside your body and keeping up with that technology. So for body scan, also an important one is aneurysms. So we find a lot of early signs of aneurysm. We're looking at your aorta, which is something that you can't really look at in, these other diagnostic scans. We're looking at any signs of early disease. So if we see a small dilation in the aorta, we're letting you know. We're letting you know to keep an eye on it, or what to do next. James, you can go. And I put in the chat earlier, if anyone has any questions, type them in the chat, and we're going to have a live Q&A at the end so we can answer any questions that you have. So what to expect in a scan? If someone raises their hand and says, I want to do this scan, you fill out your intake paperwork, you arrive on site. The scan is literally 5 minutes. There's no dyes, no needles, no fasting. You don't have to change clothes. It's a very simple process. We get you in the scanner. We hook 2 electrodes up to you to monitor your heart, and we literally put you inside the CT and get you out. As far as feeling claustrophobic, it's a very large bore. So the circle that's in the middle of the CT is very large, and your head stays out of that the whole time. So that's a question we get a lot. 5 minutes in the scanner, and then we have your results to you We say 7 to 10 days. A lot of times it's a lot quicker than that, but just for the sake of continuity, we say 7 to 10 days we'll have your results to you. The biggest thing that you have to understand is the simplicity of this exam, easy access. You can come get a scan without having to have symptoms, without having to go to your doctor and beg for, this imaging that you need. And accuracy, it's just a highly accurate assessment of what is going on in your body. And, the biggest thing that we find is this is giving you a baseline. If it's your first body scan, this is giving you a baseline. The most important scan is the next scan. So when you come back at your annual scan, we can do a side-by-side comparison and find the tiniest of changes that have happened since your baseline. And then we just continue to do that year after year. That is how you get around the traditional sick care system, is by looking at those very tiny changes and acting on those tiny changes in real time.
Ashley, can I interrupt and just ask one question? What would be the difference between and what is seen in, say, a full body CT and maybe like a heart ultrasound?
Yeah, so an ultrasound can see things. It's live. It's actually a sonographic image of your heart, so they can see the blood flow in there, but they're not able to see the actual hard calcium buildup as well as we can see it in a CT. So it's a great assessment. It's kind of like, if that's all we can get, but if you have the access to a full body CT, that is what you need to do a very thorough, accurate assessment.
And when it comes to the lungs, are you able to, you talked a little bit about lung cancer. What about things like lung scarring and other conditions in the lungs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have quite a few people that just have shortness of breath. They don't know where it's coming from. And a lot of times that's the first thing you think is something going on in my lungs. So obviously lung cancer is the big one. We're looking for nodules or something that is early signs of lung cancer. But like Toby said, we can see scarring. We can see old infection that has set in there and kind of calcified in the lungs. So those are all reasons why that lung can't expand like it should and get that air in there. And it gives a lot of people a peace of mind of, why I'm having these symptoms. A lot of times we don't have to do anything about what we find. It's just knowing that it's there. It's knowing that there is something to validate in their head why I'm having these symptoms that I'm having.
On that same line, could you talk about some of the lifestyle indicators, maybe around the gut and around the liver, around the kidneys?
Tell me more about what you mean.
So, for example, I know that you're able to see things like diverticulitis, fatty liver.
Oh yeah. So what are the findings that we can see on the CT that are factors from the lifestyle of these folks that are coming in? And that kind of goes back to Kelly's point, is sometimes people, they know what they need to do, but they will not do it until they see their physical body. They see something that is going on that is a direct correlation with how they're living their life. We know we need to eat healthy. We know we need to not have alcohol intake. We know we need to cut back on our fat, carbs. A lot of the stuff we find on these body scans are a direct correlation of lifestyle modifications that are needed. Toby hit the nail on the head. Fatty liver, that is becoming a very common finding, and it's becoming a major problem, even in young people. So until they see that on there and they realize you have direct control to change these things that we're finding. And that sometimes is the wake-up call they need. Diverticulosis, we see this. I can't give an accurate percentage, but it is very, very high. My personal assessment is at least 80% of people that come through here have diverticulosis. That is directly related to their diet. It's how the fiber intake that they're having. So many of these things we find, they don't require a surgery. They don't require massive intervention. It is a wake-up call to these folks to get it together with their lifestyle, their diet, their exercise, their nutrition, all of these things. What's next?
Perfect.
Go ahead, James.
James, we move to the next slide for us. Right here, we wanted to give Tony an opportunity to talk about his personal experience in going through the scan himself. Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this went for you?
Yeah, I appreciate this time. And this is something I've been looking forward to ever since I've had this scan. I've wanted to share my results with people. You know, it's interesting to me because I've been in the healthcare industry for 23 years now. And there are a lot of people that don't want to discuss their medical conditions. I was the polar opposite of that, frankly. I saw something very real to me, and I wanted to tell a lot of people about it because I think it's absolutely not making good choices when we know there's a solution and we choose not to act upon that solution. It makes no sense to me. So I want to tell you a little bit about my own experience. I went through this scanning experience, and I'll be honest with you guys, I was very much like some of the folks at the top of the call that were giving their own testimonials. I am 65 years old. I have told myself since day one that I am the healthiest person on the planet Earth. And moreover, I told myself that regardless of my lifestyle, my health outcomes never changed. So, you know, many folks call that denial, but I chose to believe that it was reality in my life. So I participated in this scan and truthfully came out of that experience thinking I was going to be told, you know, you're starting to look a little more like a 65-year-old, but you're in pretty good shape. So what I have to tell you is that all of this becomes very real when you see it. I think Ashley made some comments about that. When someone tells you something or you imagine something, it's not as real as when somebody's got an image in front of you and they're saying, this is your liver, this is your heart, this is your spleen, and shows me all of those things that truthfully I have never seen before. In my own case, I do have heart disease in my family, which I think is interesting that I thought I could bypass that with absolutely no impact. However, we did find a moderate calcium risk score, and I think I need to kind of tell you what that looked like to me. Normal was, I think the range was 100 and less. Mine was 300. So it was enough of an impact to me to say, wow, maybe there is something going on with me. They found a nodule on my thyroid that was a significant size that we said we probably ought to have that checked out. And then most interestingly to me, even I've kind of always had some issue with my back, but never really thought that it was that impactful. This image showed a spine that really did surprise me. And I thought, that's why my back hurts. I mean, all of it started to make sense to me now. Just so you'll know, because I had this scan, it led to a conference with a cardiologist, and I met with my endocrinologist. Regarding the heart, I've been put on some additional medication for cholesterol, in addition to the medication I was already taking, by the way, and I've been put on a beta blocker. Those two things have dramatically reduced my bad cholesterol numbers. I thought I had a good bad cholesterol number, if that makes sense. I was within range of the industry standard. When the cardiologist saw it, the cardiologist said, actually, no, it's too high for somebody that shares your risk factors. When it came to the thyroid, I had nuclear testing done. They saw things that they didn't really like. So it led to a needle biopsy, and I've just been scheduled for a second needle biopsy. So I believe that those are all positive outcomes. I am treating what would never have been discovered before. I'm telling you, I'm one of those people that would have lived my life, and as long as I felt good, I would have made an assumption that I was good. So I cannot stress to you enough how much I believe in this product and how valuable I think it can be for your population.
Toby, can I do something there on Tony's?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if that hadn't been caught, and we're so thankful that it was caught because he's our guy, is the knowledge that this company would lose if he actually fell ill and could not be here for his team. So if an employer is thinking, oh, now he's spending all this money on the medical that he wouldn't have spent before because now they found things, it would cost that company a lot more to try to replace a Tony than to just find the things that's wrong and get them fixed. Does that make sense?
It does. Thanks, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Glad you're here.
Wow. And You know, that was wonderful, Kelly, and a lot of us really don't know what we mean to our teams, right? And that's really one of the biggest reasons why people need to do this just on an individual basis, because there's people that count on us, right? We want to open it up to questions. We gotta remember, if you have a question, please just drop it in the chat into the Q&A there, and we will hit your question live. We got a question about where can we get scanned. Ashley, do you want to talk about that, or Steve?
Sure, I can jump in. Steve, if you want to add to this. So currently we have 3 locations. We have more that are being added. First is Bel Air, Texas, which is in Houston. Major medical center here. We're about 1.5 miles from that. We have a location near Dallas in Plano, Texas, and then there's one in Oklahoma City right now. And then we have quite a few other locations that that will be added to the availability very, very soon.
And Ashley, you guys accommodate a lot of the medical tourism there in the Houston facility as well. I know you get a lot of people that fly in to that facility. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm actually going to ask Dave to join this conversation real quick. And I know he's been listening in. He's our VP for the company. And he actually has a great spiel on the traveling into Houston. I love hearing him talk about it. So if he could answer that question, Dave, that'd be a great intro.
Yeah, certainly. And so a lot of people say, well, geez, why would I travel to go do this? So an interesting statistic, in Houston alone, there's 14 million visitors to Houston every year, specifically for their healthcare. It's considered the epicenter of life sciences and innovation. So 14 million people a year take the trip to Houston specifically for their healthcare. I also talk to people about the fact that if in fact someone had found they had cancer or had chronic heart disease, they would think nothing about trying to get to the best. And that would, fly to Rochester, Minnesota to go to Mayo, or fly to Cleveland, Ohio to go to the Cleveland Clinic. And so you can get to Houston literally from anywhere in the country in less than 3 hours. And that's from corner to corner. Obviously, a lot of them are a lot quicker. They have 2 airports there, so there's options available. So we have people come to us because that's really, they want the best, and they want the best technology and the people with the experience. So if you're not happen to be in a driving location, it's certainly worth the trip. I wanted to make another point about this, because I work with a lot of employers on this. And, these types of scans have been around forever, quite frankly. And most of the time, these have only been afforded to senior executives or board members. And I think what today's organizations realize is that they used to use the term a key man or key person is the C-suite. I think most organizations today find out that the key people in the organization go much deeper. Your head of IT security, who's in charge of manufacturing, who's in charge of HR. So every person is, and when you look at these scans, it's really protecting the company's 2 most important assets. That's their people and their cash. Because again, when someone's chronically ill, you don't just catch a chronic disease, it catches you. And so what happens is you see higher absenteeism, you see poor productivity, you get poor morale from employees if they're not feeling, if they're feeling sick all the time. And so there's a lot of other, I could call them green costs, that are avoided by catching these diseases early, getting you treated early. They're less intervention, again, cuts down on absenteeism, increases productivity, patients, your employee satisfaction, but again, protects your key assets, your money and your people.
Thank you, Dave. One question that came up for Ashley here is, what if I have a device? I think they mean, what if I have like an implanted device?
Oh, I love that. So yes, I don't love this app device, but so that is one of the great benefits about the CT is that we can scan folks that have devices inside their body, whether it's a pacemaker, a sleep apnea device, insulin pump, whatever it is, we can, obviously we need to know about it, and then we'll make sure it's compatible, which more than likely it will be, and we can get you scanned in the CT. Now, if we're talking MR, that's a whole nother story. A lot of folks are denied entry into the MR because of the implanted devices. But for the CT body scan, yep, they are more than likely a candidate, and we will work with everybody to get them scanned.
A question here is, what happens after the scan?
Great question. So after the scan, you will get your report. So 7 to 10 days, you get a report sent to the portal. You log in, you read the report. You have the opportunity to get on with one of our medical providers and review that report if the patient wishes. And then we give next steps. It's, hey, this is what we found. This is the recommendation, and a lot of times, it's not really anything, like I said, is lifestyle modifications. So we let you know that as well. But if it's something significant, we will we'll guide you, and a lot of times get back with Tony and say, hey, this person needs this. What can we do?
Could I add one comment here that I think is important too? I was given all of my results, obviously, and I did speak to someone with the practice there. But then more importantly, I took those results back to my own doctor. I think it's important to understand how easy this was for me. Again, I didn't think it would be easy because I don't ever believe that there's anything wrong with me. But I took it back to my doctors, and this result is what prompted my endocrinologist to order the nuclear test first. And then based on the results of that, they ordered the needle biopsy. So I think what I'm saying is that this is really a very comprehensive response that my doctor found value in looking at. And so it's a very, very easy process.
Awesome.
And Tony, hey, thank you once again for sharing your results with everyone. And I want to tell you that you're not old, but thyroid issues are not an old man's disease either. We have a 32-year-old patient that we scanned that we found a nodule, and he had a biopsy, and it was malignant, and he had to have it removed. So, and he's doing great. But it doesn't matter your age. These diseases start at a very early age.
Good point. Very good point.
Right. I did have a question here about age, and that was, what is the age you can get scanned? I know, Kelly, you mentioned some of the ways that you had that implemented. So just if we could kind of talk about best practices, and then what's the minimum age to get scanned?
Yeah, absolutely. So we start at 30. That's the age that we recommend for being able to get on the CT machine. We have a protocol that we follow that really puts the patient safety, at best interest. So just to make it simplistic, we can start at the age of 30. We can scan someone under the age of 30 if they have risk factors. So if they have a family history of something, if they're having issues that they're really worried about, we just need an order from an outside physician. And we work with a lot of people that really need to be scanned. And so I don't want to let that be a factor for someone that can't have access to this. So we will work with anyone, that really, really needs it. So from 30 to 35, our protocols is that they get one scan every 5 years, just to, mitigate the risk of radiation versus benefit. And then after the age of 39, we recommend annual scans. So that's when, and we're looking at these, we're looking at best practices, researching radiation, risk and exposure. So we may be able to decrease that down. But right now that's what we do.
And then on ours, when we were trying to decide on expense, we started off with just scanning the employees. And then as we go along, if we need to start adding the spouses. But first, we just want to make sure we got the first line first. I did have 2 spouses that paid themselves for their wives to get theirs done because they thought it was so beneficial. So you could also, it depends on which group you are and how you want to, spread that expense. You can all do it individually, how you want to do it.
And I'll tell you, when we have couples do this together or more of a family type of event, when you really realize what is going on with your health, if you're not alone in doing this, it makes your outcome way more successful. So you're able to, alter your diet in a household instead of you just trying to do it one at a time, or, those modifications that are needed.
How complicated is this to implement?
Well, I can speak from our end, but Tony, do you want to grab that?
I mean, it just could not possibly be any easier than what I went through. The thing I liked most about it, and it's been mentioned now several times, is the 5 to 10 minutes that it took me to have this done. I mean, this is something I could do at lunch. So it's quite easy. I mean, from the perspective of, implementing it company-wide, if that's something that you chose to do, then I would ask that you engage with Kelly and with me, and we can kind of have a conversation with you about how it worked for her. The reason I wanted Kelly on this call is because Kelly implemented it and saw it be very successful over a period of several years. So this was not something that she just did last year. She's been, this has been kind of a gift, if you will, to her employees for many years. So it's very easy to implement. We are more than happy to engage in a conversation with you to show you how to do that.
Excellent. Excellent. That is all the questions that I've had come through. And so just a quick recap, early detection saves lives. And to reiterate what Tony just said, this is a great fit inside the captive program and health benefits that you guys have with Trinity Captive. And we've already seen it work for other employers. I wanted to give everybody an opportunity, if you are ready to put this in place for your group, or if you're a broker that's listening and you're ready to talk to Tony or Kelly about how to implement this for your groups, go ahead and scan that QR code, or on the page that you're on, you can go and fill out the form that's at the bottom of that page, and it will connect you guys to talk. Of course, you can also just call Trinity Captive and reach out to Kelly and Tony directly there as well. We would love to help you along the way to get your groups covered with these full body scans and be able to dig in there, find the claim savings that is kind of lurking in the unknown unknowns.
Could I ask one question? I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but if we have folks that are interested that might, and we've talked about the travel option, but if we have folks that are not close to those 3 areas, I think I heard someone at one point say there might be some other opportunities. Mm-hmm. Could we get with you guys and you could provide us with those locations so we could better communicate that to the rest of our population?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony, I can tell you the cities. We just have a shared agreement with them. It's Phoenix, Arizona, Columbus, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee, Raleigh and Charlotte, North Carolina. Hopefully they still exist after this week from that hurricane, and Tampa, Florida, and Tulsa as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. That's helpful.
Excellent.
Thanks,
well, if there's not any other comments, I want to thank everybody for attending. Again, scan the QR code, fill out the form on that page or at the bottom of the broadcast page. Please reach out to Kelly and to Tony, and let's get these things implemented into your groups. And the last thing we always love to end with is just to say that early detection saves lives. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.